Guys, I want to introduce the guest speaker for today. This is our third class about Pesach. This is the finale. Today we have Rabbi Gedayev. He's a Bukharian rabbi who's also a student from Rabbi Belsky. Let's give him our full attention. He's going to speak about kosher food for Pesach. You guys probably saw the flyer. We're going to address all those questions, all those topics. And if there are any other questions at the end of the lecture, there'll be a question and answer session at the end. So look at that.
The mic is working?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, I can hear it.
Loud and clear. Hello, can you hear me? I don't think I need a mic.
Probably has to be turned down as well.
Okay. Okay, I was asked to speak a little bit different from the norm of what I usually do for Pesach. Speak about general questions that's nogea to everybody. Ashkenazim, Hasidim, Sfardim, Bavarian. I'm going to try today to format it towards more maybe the Bukharian community, but certain things are going to be important for everybody to know. Ashkenazim, people know, they heard of Rabbi Gedayev, and how do they know me? A lot of them know me from a kasher chat. Right, I run 4 kasher chats, about 6 admins. Currently, within 2 weeks right before Pesach, up until the day before Pesach, we answer thousands of questions, at least 200, almost 200 questions a day, literally. We have over 1,000 members. And also we answer questions to Rabbanim. We have on the chats themselves, we have mashgichim, kasher organizations. We try to help each other. People have questions. They don't know what to do with certain items. They want to know about hashgacha. Which one is reliable? Which one is not reliable? So today I'm going to speak a little bit about the Bukharian customs question answers, and then about 10 minutes before ending, we're going to do some questions and answers you have in the end. Okay. First question. People ask me all the time, I get this question today, I had at least 10 times. What is the Bukharian tradition with regards to kitniyot? The Bukharians eat kitniyot or not? Right, kitniyot everybody knows it's ligums in English, it's not chametz, it's a custom. Either you eat it or you don't. Ashkenazim, minhag ulama is not to eat it. Minhag Maran Shulchan Aruch, for Pesach is to allow it. So what is the Bukharian tradition? The first place I've seen it quoted was a sefer called Chukat Olam by Rabbi Musayev. Over there he writes that certain kitniyot the community didn't eat. So it was interesting, I saw that he says over there you could eat rice if you're Bukharian, but all the other kitniyot you shouldn't eat. The problem here is with this sefer I had was that I have a good friend, his name is Rabbi Mitai Ben David. He's the author of Sichat Chulin. Anybody here does Daf Yomi? Yeah? You know what Sichat Chulin is, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So he happens to be Bukhari. His last name is Ben David. He changed it. He was originally Davidov. And he's also a descendant of Musayev. So when he was about 9 years old, he lived in New York. New York. He lived in America. When he was 9 years old, he moved to Eretz Yisrael. And he grew up there, lived in Litvish Yeshiva, speaks fluent Yiddish. And he grew up more as Ashkenazi. Now his father was very hardcore Bukharian. When he was about 16 years old, his father told him that, I noticed you do a lot of Ashkenazi practices. I wanted to be Sephardi. He says, Abba, wonderful, but I grew up among the Yeshiva Shavel. It's not going to happen. This is who I am. You're going to have to accept me for it. His father wasn't happy. And he says, this is not going to happen. We're going to go to a Gadol Hador to speak to a Gadol Hador what you should do. Should you follow the custom of the Sfadim, Ashkenazim? What should we do with you? So they went to Rabbi Lashiv, Gadol Hador. And Rabbi Lashiv sat them down. He listened to the father. He listened to the son. The son came with strong conviction. I grew up among B'nai Torah, Yeshivish, and I want to be like Ashkenazi, I want to follow Ashkenazi minhag. So I said, no, we're Bukharian, we're Sephardi, we have to be Sephardi and follow our customs. Rabbi Gedayev listened to both of them, and he said, listen, if your son, this is what he wants, and this is what he likes, and this is what he feels comfortable with, I think you should just leave it alone. Let him, if he wants to be Ashkenazi and follow Ashkenazi traditions, let him daven Pesach Ashkenaz. Let him be Ashkenazi. And they went home, and his father was very upset. Imagine you tell a Bukharian father, he's not going to take it, lying down, literally. So what did he do? He told his son, we're going to go to one more Gadol Ador, and he will make the final decision. Where do they go? They knocked on the door of Chacham Rabbi Yosef. Knock on his door, Rabbi brings them in. Many, many years ago, like 30 years ago, more. Brings them in, and he listens to the story, and he tells Ramitai, I'm sorry, your father is right, you're Sephardi, you must follow Maran Shulchan Aruch. You can't follow Ashkenazi Pesach. He says, what do you mean? We went to Rabbi Lasher Paskin, he says, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. You're Sephardi, I'm mevatel the Pesach of Rabbi Lasher, just to follow Maran Shulchan Aruch. This is what he told me. So he told me he started to follow, after that he decided he's going to follow Rabbi Yosef, he's going to be Sephardi. But as he was growing up as a teenager, he said he wanted to be Bukharian. He's Bukharian. He wants to know the Bukharian Pesach. So he found his grandfather's Sefer Chukat Olam, and he's going to follow that. And in those Sidurim, it's like 4 volumes. It has a lot of halachot. He comes one day to Chacham Ovadia, and he says, this is where it's important to what we're talking about now.
We must unweave every
He goes to Rav Ovadia, and he says, Rav Ovadia, I found the Sefer. I found the Sefer that speaks about the customs of the Bukharian community. And I noticed in here, a lot of the customs is a little bit different from what Rav Ovadia says, what your Sfarim says. He says, which Sefer are you talking about? He says, Chukat Olam. He's like, oh, let me tell you something. I knew Rabbi Musayev back in the day. This Sidur, the way it's written in davening is according to Rabbi Musayev, but the halachot was written by somebody else. Literally killed it for the guy. He finally found some type of form of identity. So it's not written by a Bukharian rabbi. That part wasn't written by a Bukharian rabbi. So he immediately mevatel all his Bukharian minhagim in Eretz Yisrael, and he said, I'm only going to follow Rabbi Yosef. L'chumra, l'kulab, according to Maran Shulchan Aruch. That was his opinion. So it was very hard for me to literally digest, not because it's kitniyot, but to digest this idea. So I decided, okay, then I found there's a sefer called Lufutei Dinim. Anybody heard of Lufutei Dinim? Yeah? The Bukharian Shulchan Aruch, written over 100 years ago, same time as Rabbi Musayev. So over there, in Or Chaim, Siman, Kuf, Mem, Bet, over there he speaks about kitniyot. And he says that the Bukharians all ate rice. Then he continues and he speaks about what about chickpeas, what about corn, what about all the other legumes. He writes over there that according to Maran Shulchan Aruch, it's allowed. But the Bukharians follow the Ramah. But he says better, he's not arguing with Ravadi or Maran Shulchan Aruch, he says better to be machmir and not to eat it. He doesn't say it's not allowed. He says better. So whenever I get a call, people ask me, Rabbi, can you eat kitniyot or not? It's a good question. I noticed in our community, it's very confusing. Some rabbis eat it, some rabbis don't. We had a meeting a couple of years ago with the Bukharian Rabbanut, which is comprised of over 40 rabbis, right? So we had this meeting where Rabbi Yisrael, the chief rabbi, Bukharian chief rabbi, got up. He's Sephardi, and he got up and he said that Bukharians want to eat kitniyot, and people were arguing. The Rabbanim were arguing, no, we're Bukharian, we don't eat all kitniyot, we only eat rice, and they were, so you go, okay, listen, this is what you guys do, I'm not, So again, it's really to each their own. You're asking what Bukharians did. To me, it seems obvious that based on the Bukharian Shulchan Aruch, that preferably, you should eat only, rice. But if you eat other kitniyot, it's not the end of the world, because you still have Maran Shulchan Aruch to rely on. What about cumin?
So does it depend
Yeah.
Does it depend on a family's minhag?
If your family grew up, and this is how I usually answer, if your family grew up, this is what they ate, then you could eat it. If they didn't eat it, then I say, okay, you can live without it. A friend of mine is a Talmud of Rabbi Yosef. He learned in Yechabadat. He has smicha for him in Dayanut. He told me that he doesn't eat all kitniyot. He's Moroccan. He told me he went to Ravadia to speak to him about the kitniyot on Pesach. Ravadia, he was talking to him and he said, I want to be mevatel all. I want to eat follow Chacham Ravadia, and I only want to eat all kitniyot. I want to eat all kitniyot. He says, B'shvima, for what? What do you use this for? If you're not eating it at home, why do you have to, He says, my father, he doesn't want me to eat it, but he told me if you say it's okay, then, I'll be able to eat it. So, either Rabbi would tell you that, listen, if you have this custom, even though Sfardim may be ate, and Maran Shulchan says it's okay, if you're used to not eating it, then stay that way. There's no reason that, you have to have it, desperate for it. I mean, this generation is unbelievable. You have now kosher pesach pizza, cereal. I mean, I can imagine what next generation is going to do. Here it gets interesting. Bukharians love to use cumin, right? Come on, cumin, right? It's a Bukhari thing. Everybody here uses cumin? I'm just curious. On Pesach, everybody uses cumin?
Zira.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zira.
Did you know cumin is kitniyot?
But we always add it, so.
Oh,
Not.
It's a spice.
I'm going to tell you something. It's actually a dispute if it's kitniyot or not. Among Ashkenazim and among Sfardim. Among Sfardim, really, it's not a dispute. Everybody holds it's kitniyot, and you can still eat it anyway because you're Sfardim, Marash Shulchan Aruch. But among Ashkenazim, a couple of years ago, the OU decided, based on Rebelsky, that cumin is not considered kitniyot. And they got attacked for it. They were fighting. The other Sherim, Star K, all the mainstream Sherim said, no, it is kitniyot. And they're all right, that cumin is kitniyot. And now that I have cumin, I'm Pesach for Ashkenazim. Rebelsky said there's a Taz in Tafnut Gimel, Seif Kan Aleph. Over there he speaks about different spices, and based on the translation of the words, right? He says that when the Taz speaks about something that sounds like kamon, cumin, right? It's not actually really considered. It's not cumin. It's not cumin. It's a different product. He says it's funnel, or it's a different type of spice, but it's not. Taz is not talking about cumin. Now Shulchan Aruch Harav on that comments on that Taz, and he says no, it's talking about kamon. It's talking about cumin. So again, many Hachsherim say cumin is kitniyot, but the OU says it's not. So when you go to the store, right, and you don't know any better, and you pick up OU herring, right? You pick it up, you see it says OU, and it says kosher for Pesach. It doesn't say anything about kitniyot, right? You should know because they hold it's not kitniyot, and not everybody holds like that. On the flip side, there's a similar item, very popular now. It's called quinoa. Anybody here eats quinoa?
Yeah.
You guys eat quinoa? Really? You know quinoa is kitniyot?
Wow.
Maybe you guys are more smarter than you think, and not really Bukhari. So there's a big, tremendous argument in the kosher organizations that quinoa is considered kitniyot. For years, the OU did not certify quinoa. They always held it's kitniyot. Rebelsky was very against certification. But the Star K and others said, no, it's not kitniyot. And why do people want quinoa? You know why people want quinoa? You know what people like to do with quinoa? Besides eating it with this main dish, it's very good for sushi, for Ashkenazim. Because a lot of Ashkenazim don't eat rice, right? Quinoa, right? Maybe it's not kitniyot. So a lot of, you'll see out of town, people make, instead of using rice, they use quinoa to make, with the Nori sheets. It's okay, again, as with quinoa as well, since it's a machloket, I see room to be lenient and people are using it anyway, right? I don't see, if nobody complained about it till now, okay. I hear that as well. Just one thing I want to mention that with regards to cumin, it requires a Pesach certification. There's a very big issue that some claim that cumin has a mixture of chametz in it. It could have one of the 5 grains in it. And in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Shlomo Amar, held it was usher to use cumin. Nothing to do with kitniot. There's chametz issue. One of the reasons, one of the takanot for kitniot was because they might mix it with, they grow in the same areas. If you have an item that is grown in the same areas as wheat, we were concerned that it get mixed up together, and therefore, there was one of the reasons for banning the use of kitniot. And this is one of them, that cumin had an issue of mixing up, and Rosh Amar held it was Aser. Rav Bakshi Daron wrote a Teshuvah. He speaks about it in Chelik Aleph, in Binyan Tzion, and Chelik Daled. And over there, Chelik Daled, in Siman Chav Gimel, over there he says clearly that it's batal, even if it would be, and it's not a problem. Okay, I hear, I just want you to be aware with regards to that, okay, let's get to something more interesting. I get so many calls about Uzbekistan raisins. Everybody eat Uzbekistan raisins?
Yes.
You know those big, large, juicy raisins?
Yes.
Are they kosher? In general, are they kosher? Does it have a hefsher?
I don't think so.
So you grow up, you go to the store, right? And it's like in Russia, right? Everything's open, it's all loose, so you assume there's no hashgacha. So I also thought that. Until somebody mentioned to me, they took a picture and mentioned to me, no, it has hashgacha. You know what hashgacha it has? You're going to laugh. It's called the Vad of Tashkent. Did you know there's a Vad of Tashkent? I didn't even know there's still Tashkent around. No, I'm kidding. I know there's Tashkent around, but there's a Vad. They have a Vad, yeah. A couple of rabbis.
In Brooklyn?
Sorry?
They sell them in Brooklyn?
Sell it everywhere, all over the world, which I'm going to get to soon. Actually, it's very popular in Eretz Yisrael. So they sell it in in Brooklyn and Queens. People love it in Queens. So is this item kosher? Here's where the challenge is. Raisins in the U.S. can be glazed, it could be saturated with oils. Okay? The reason why is clumping. When you have raisins, right, you mush it in together, right, you can't sell it that way. So they put a coating on it, an oil coating, to make sure it doesn't stick together. So the question is, what is that coating made out of? Is it kosher or not? So in the U.S., most of it is certified by one mainstream hefsher. So they will tell you that, yeah, it's fine. How come raisins don't have a hefsher if that's the only problem? Very simple. Companies don't want to pay for it. Why do I have to pay for a hefsher? You can sell it anyway, right? Not always the clientele of the Jewish community is number one, it's a non-Jewish company. The problem is, outside of U.S., out of country, we don't really know what they're doing, And if they're using ovens, right, which is a K-League issue, right, equipment issue, and they're using these oils, it becomes very, very problematic. I once, there's a certain supermarket with a mishkiach, Bulgarian mishkiach, and he starts to describe to me how in Russia, these raisins are grown, and it's like, no, Rabbi, they don't use, he was trying to speak my language, he was speaking useful. Anyway, he said, no, Rabbi, they don't use oils, it's in the sun, and there's no ovens, and there's no oil, and this and that. I said, okay, listen, I don't know. I asked Rabowski about it. Rabowski was alive a number of years ago. To find out, what do you mean? You can't just make recommendations? It's like that masla, that oil they use, for the Bulgarian oshplo, right? Nobody knows if it has hashgacha, nobody knows where it came from, nobody knows what it's made out of, people just use it. I don't know how that works, but so what's the story with the raisins? So I called up these rabbis from Tashkent. Okay? The rabbi's name is Rabbi Baruch Abram Ziev. Anybody know? No? He's the brother-in-law of Rav Hillel Chaim. Him, I'm sure you heard, right? Yeah? It's his brother. Okay? What do they call it? What's
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's his brother. Okay. So, I spoke to them. Again, I don't really know them. So, they're just telling me information. But they told me something interesting. They told me that the Eida Haredi, the Eretz Yisrael, comes down, does a run, uses their raisins, and sells it under their hefsher in Eretz Yisrael. That I found interesting. This is talking about year round. So I spoke to the Haredi. Okay? They told me that the raisins are fine. I'm talking about year round. They did mention to me one thing. raisins have an infestation issue, the bugs? Yeah? Okay, so if you hold the bugs and the raisins are a problem, right? Like the Eidach already does. So they check it. And if they find infestation, they don't use the batch. But they told me sometimes it's clean, Again, we grew up that we don't care about the bugs, right? We don't care. Everybody, what do you guys call that?
No, we don't.
We don't, right? Rebelski, Taz, right? Just throw it out there. I think it's interesting. I spoke to entomologists about the infestation in raisins. And the ones that hold it's usher, big experts worldwide. Okay, I spoke to them, and anyways, they tell me, listen, it's a problem. The bugs, they grow while they're attached to the tree. If they're detached and they're growing, it's a little bit different in halacha. Okay, it's impossible to remove. There's a prima gadim, whatever it's been paid off. Anyway, so the question was: is it growing while it's attached to the tree, or it's detached? If it's attached to the tree, it's a problem. If it's not attached to the tree, then maybe it's not a problem. Okay, now I said wonderful. I said I heard that it's detached, so it's not a problem. He says no. I'll give you a number of an entomologist in Pennsylvania. You ask him, he'll tell you from an entomology standpoint that it grows. The bugs attack the grapes while they're on the tree. And if that's true, then we have a big problem. Okay, so I contacted entomologists and I asked them a list of questions. I researched, infestation, whatever, what type of insects. I researched, and he tells me based on whatever the questions I asked him, he says that he actually agrees with me that it's while it's detached. Like Rebelski says that it's a not to the raisins. I said, okay, can you send me, proof? He sent me about 7 pages worth of literature to prove that he agreed. And I went back to those rabbis that said it was us, the biggest experts in the world. Anyway, so I asked them, and they're like, no, we'll find you a different expert. I said, what do you mean? You told me we decided from this expert. He says, no, I don't know why. They're very pushy about it. I'm waiting already a couple of years. I still didn't get a response from them. Okay, so we're monitoring raisins. Wonderful. There's no problem with it. You can eat raisins. Okay. So for year-round use, I don't have a problem with these Bukhari, raisins from Uzbekistan, as long as it's under the Var of Tashkent. I spoke to the CRC of Chicago. I spoke to the Stockade. I spoke to the OU. I asked them a list of questions based on analysis because I'm not going down there. Based on their experience of certifying dried fruit companies. They told me you could rely on whatever was told to you. Then I had to ask them the second question: what about Pesach? The Eidach already does not certify raisins for Pesach because the Ramah says you shouldn't eat raisins on Pesach. Did you guys know that?
Why?
Did you? No, I'll say more than that. I'll say more than that. The Likutei Dinim says that raisins should be very careful. He says in Russia, this is 100 years ago, in Bukhara. He says in Russia, they had problems with wheat. It would get stuck to the, it would be on the packaging. There would be issues of wheat, and that would make the raisins a problem. He says you have to research really thoroughly that the raisins don't have a problem of chametz. Sounds like a good reason why people were machmir, right? Like the Ramah. Dried fruits in general, there are people that are very machmir on it, Ashkenazim especially, because of the issue of packaging. I noticed that in some companies, dried fruit companies, where you think there will be no issues, even nuts, that they would take oat flour and they would powder the dried fruits to make it not clump, or when they would make like baskets of different types of fruit. So some fruits are okay, some fruits are not, but it would be all processed in the same company, and machinery would not be cleaned in between. So these were concerns, So again, usually it's not such a big deal. It really depends on the fruit, the dried fruit you want to use. Many dried fruits do need hashgacha, which most people do. I know that in the Bukhari community, I know this because it's ironic to me. I don't shop in Costco, but almost every question I get is people that are shopping in Costco. And literally people, they should be blessed. They take pictures of 20 items at a time. They think I'm a department store. It's okay. And they say, Rabbi, is this kosher, this kosher, 20 pictures, on the groups. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, You know, I had one lady, you know, she should be blessed. Bukhari lady. She took a picture of a whole cabinet. And she says, which one is chametz and which one is not? I can use for pesach. You know. You know. I hear, listen, you know, at least they're asking, bro. Shouldn't ask. You know, but again, you know, with the raisins, again, let me just conclude with the raisins. Based on my understanding, it could be it's acceptable to use it for Pesach. I recommend using raisins with Pesach actually. You know, it's Pesach, you know. If you can't live without your Bukharian raisins from Uzbekistan for 1 week, because you have to eat, I don't know what they use it for the Oshplo, what they use it? Osvo, Oshplo, I don't know. What? For Charosa, okay, you can use regular raisins. You have to eat, what the Bukharian raisins have a different taste. It has a different taste, yeah, really.
Much better taste, darker color,
It's huge.
better
It's like
consistency.
three times bigger.
Support Bukharian raisin.
Looks like little grapes.
It's like 3 times.
He has a very good point. Support the Tashkenti for fundraising. Listen, you got to take care of your people. You're going to take care of them. Again, you know, I recommend with Hashgacha, but if a person bought it already, or if you go into somebody's house, I would be quiet. I wouldn't say anything. I'd leave it alone. You know. In that case, I think it's okay. You know. Sometimes people, you know, they come to somebody's house and they see things that are used, and you're like, they're very questioning, and they're very nervous. You know, don't make such a big deal. Be calm. Take a breather. You know, I realized that one of the biggest problems we have in the communities, Mishlam Bayit, is that people, when it comes to Pesach, people don't know the halachot. They think that you have to vacuum your chairs to the point where it has to be 10 hours just to clean each chair. That's not true. It doesn't work that way. You know, anything that's less than a kazayit is not a problem technically. You have to clean. You have to clean your house. You have to be normal. You know, take it easy. You know, it's not like cleaning. It's thorough cleaning, but you have to take it easy. Whatever, you know, in these things, you know, start screaming and fighting and going nervous and, you know, racking your brain. And you have to be normal. It's very, very important. You know, there are poskim that speak about cleaning here. You have a shram behind you, right? Are you going to start pulling it apart? Now you're going to take whatever's behind you. You're not required because you can't reach to it. You know, if you can't reach it, it's impossible. You can't. You're going to break apart the circuit. It doesn't work out. So you don't take it out. You have to be very, very normal. That's the word I use. You know, somebody sent me a video. It shows that the guy took foil and he foiled his whole house with the chairs and with these other videos. I'm sure I guess. Whatever. Soon the children also going to be instead of a Jama. I hear this. It's normal, you know. Okay. What about very common question? Baby formula. Is there a problem with baby formula? I'm talking about the powders. OUD, you know, the OU, people like, you know, the Enfamil and all the Similac and all the powder. Okay. I want to tell you something. In the US, almost all of it is made from kitniyot, not chametz. It's a standard rule. Okay? This is a real Price told me. He's the head of ingredient specialist in the OU, right? You know, the Price. You know, similar ideas put forward with regards to vinegar, right? Distilled vinegar. And some want to say, oh, you could use mayo, Heinz, their favorite, Hellmann's. You know, people, I didn't realize how desperate people are for their Hellmann's. They can't hold it on to it for 1 week. They have to have it home. You know, they can't separate from it. Yeah.
The baby formula, you said only powder? What about the ready?
The liquid I'm not sure about. You would have to ask, you know, the hefsher that's on the container. But the powdered form, to my knowledge, it could be liquid as also, I'm not sure. But the powdered form, to my knowledge, it's all made in the U.S. I don't know about other country. I don't know about other country. In the U.S., you know, all these OU powdered formulas are fine. You know what I mean?
Baby.
What?
For a baby.
I don't understand what you mean. Babies are allowed to eat chametz, you're saying? They're not Jewish?
No. They have to eat. What they need? What they need?
Let's say there will be chametz. What would they
You
eat?
really believe that when you were a baby, your mother gave you OU similar?
No.
Baby form. Okay, so what did you eat?
Not everyone has.
When we grew up, we ate potatoes. What do we eat at home? When I was a kid, do you remember when you were a kid?
6 months.
We didn't have anything.
Infant?
What?
Potatoes?
We
A
found
3-4 month canning potato.
What?
A 4-month-old canning potato.
Listen, Again, each case is individual, but I'm just wanting to understand that we don't feed our kid chametz. I do actually have this question. People drive me crazy about it. Oatmeal cereal. Oatmeal is chametz. It's not a question. So no, but the mother says, "What do you mean? I need to feed the kid. Doesn't need anything else." He's, I told him that there's companies that are kosher pesach. It's not oatmeal, but there are items, there are substitutes. You have to, I understand people are desperate. When you're desperate, you're not thinking. Don't be so desperate because there's so many substitutes, there's so many options. Look into things before you make an informed decision. Okay? I think one of the most difficult things that people have as consumers is that when they go to the store, they actually have to look at the item before buying it. Remember the good old days where you just didn't look, you just threw everything in, as a woman, they had two kids on the shoulders, right? While on the phone and throwing in things into the basket. Now the biggest, they upset at me because I told them, no, you have to actually look at the product before you put it into your basket. And this is probably one of the most difficult things they have to do. You have to look at it, sometimes read the ingredients, for me, I don't know about everybody else, the soft drinks are the most complicated sometimes. You could pick up a soft drink, it has 5 different hechsherim, and each hechsher says, only good for the rest of the year, but not Pesach. So, and then it says somewhere with no name, nothing, kosher to Pesach. So I'm very confused. Is it kosher? Is it for Pesach or not? I don't know. What do I do here? And this is the best part. What do you do when there's 5 hechsherim, 4 of them are great, 1 of them is no good, and the one that's no good says kosher to Pesach. Everybody's standing like this and saying, I don't know. So I tried, I tried to call those other hechsherim because I know they have mishkichim on site to see maybe it's acceptable. Sometimes it's because of kitniyot, sometimes it's because there's a policy issue. It's not because there's a kashrut issue. So that's what we try to work around. Just here this week it was very very exciting for me. I saw that they have now rice cakes, kosher lepesach kitniyot. Thing is that one hechsher is very good. It's a hechsher. The other hechsher, it's really case by case. Not everybody uses this hechsher. It's a Sephardi hechsher. It really depends on the product. So I called up the Hasidic hechsher. He told me, yeah, he has a mashgiach there. He's on site himself, the Rabbi Machshir. He said it's good, even on Pesach. All products from this company that's kitniyot. I'm recording. That's why I'm not saying. You can ask me later. But it's happiness for me to see that we do have options. Otherwise I have to ignore all those products that say kitniyot, but we want them. So back to what we were saying with formula. So baby formula, most of them are not a problem on Pesach. Okay, if you have a specific question, you could always ask. Okay. Oh, this is the best one. You guys know. Bukharian rice.
Oh,
It's called koku, right? Koku, right? Yellow sticker. Don't trick me with the rose one.
With the rest of it,
The red one, right? The rose. Now you're just cheating, right? We want the yellow. Give me the good stuff. I want to tell you something. About 10 years ago, the OU decided that they want to make a special run for Sfardim. Why? Because the Syrians in Brooklyn, right, were buying our rice without Ashgacha, white rice, enrichment, no enrichment, I don't know, but white rice. And, they made these lists. So the OU said, maybe let's make one kosher Pesach, right? Okay. So they found a guy, Ashkenazi guy. Told them we'll make a run for the Sfardim. He said, okay, he spent thousands of dollars. He made a run. He put it on the shelves. And guess what happened?
Nobody
bought it. Nobody. Why? Because the Syrians want their Carolina rice. We want our koku rice. They want their Carolina rice. Everybody has their rice preference, right? They were very upset. The OU was upset. Why were they upset? Because they told this guy to do this. He spent $1,000. He lost his money. He says, I'm never going to try again. A little while later, they got some good news. Guess what? OU's coming to Shari Tzion. Avenue U, Ocean Parkway, one of the biggest shuls of the Syrian community. Now it's their time to tell all the Syrians that they're eating chametz for all these years. They're eating rice. They're eating chametz all these years, right? You got to get it, back in, right? So they're sitting there. They made a whole panel. They started talking about, kitniyot, pesach, hashgacha for pesach. This whole concept of assuming that spices don't have a question, and all the spices don't need a pesach hefsher. They don't need to be looked into. Then they got up to the rice. And they said that you guys are eating all your California rice. I'm sorry, your Carolina rice. You should know that rice needs a hashgacha for pesach. So they went through the ingredient pan. There's several ingredients in there. So they got up to ingredient called vitamin B1. Fine. So vitamin 100. Okay. So they said that they researched this ingredient. This ingredient is comprised of, it's sourced from several different places, and then for a number of years it was made from kitniyot. They're off the hook. But in the past few years, 2009, it's made from chametz. So you guys are eating chametz. Mazal tov. We tried to make you, and then they started bringing their story. They tried to bring a special run. We lost money because you wanted your Carolina, right? And you should know, the Syrians told me it was a tsunami. No tsunami, right? It was a real deal. They were angry. Have you ever told Bukharis you can't eat their cooked rice? I know rabbis in Queens. They tell me. They asked me about the rice for years. They asked me, and I told them, they should only pay. You should buy rice with the hashgacha just for 7 days. Like, Rabbi, I can't do that. They'll kill me. He can't. He can't tell the Bukharian community, his shul. He can't tell them you can't have the Bukharian rice. They'll shoot him on sight. He's afraid to speak. He can't. He's like, for me, he's good. For me, Rabbi, okay, I'm machmir. Rabbi, I can be machmir, but for community, listen, there's a lot, it's not a lot. You can't do that, If it's good for you, it's good for them. We're all Jews, right? It doesn't make a difference. We all keep the same Torah. Anyways, so what's the story with this rice? I spent a lot of time on this rice for a couple of years, right before Pesach, spending a lot of time. I remember right after this whole meeting with Shari Tzion and the Syrian community, I was in the OU with Rabelsky, and we were sitting and talking, and I was looking at the list, the list that the Syrians have. They have a list of all the rices they allow. And the OU claimed, Rabbi Price, he said that, there's no such thing in the U.S., specifically in specific states at least, based on what he researched, spoke to a lawyer, whoever he spoke to in different states, there's no such thing as rice that's not enriched. It doesn't have vitamin B1. There's no such thing. All rice has to be enriched. Because if you don't have the enrichment, it's considered forgery. Where is all the enrichment? It's in the bran. The rice is brown, right? You polish it, you take off all the bran, right? And there's nothing there. There's no nutrients. You got to put it back in according to FDA regulations. So therefore, it has to be in there. This is what he told me. So in a second, it's hard for me to swallow literally that that's true. I mean, there's many states. There could be different Bibles in each state. No, this is FDA regulations. They showed me the FDA regulations online. The U.S. FDA. And okay, listen, this is what they're saying. I don't know. I didn't research at that point. So I was telling people for a long time. I was telling people, listen, eat rice, kosher pesach. Rabbi Gedayev gives hashgacha on rice, right? Buy that one. Lior company. Yeah, right. Now the Star K. By the way, the Syrians fixed their problem. They're good. People assume that the person who makes the problem is the person you're going to come to give you a solution, right? No, they didn't do that. They went to the Star K. The Star K gave them Star K. P. S. Smarty department. Carolina rice. Yeah. I'm assuming it was always under the Star K, so they had no choice.
And it's still enriched? It's the same rice?
It's a special production for the Syrians. Now I'm thinking right away, wait a minute, why don't Bukharians have their special production as well? You can't go make your cocoa rice a special production?
No. You don't have money.
You have money to buy the rice, you don't have money to...
Yes.
I hear. One mashgiach I was talking to in 108 Street, in a big supermarket there. Owner's not even not so from. He makes a special production of a certain product, which he pays extra for. It's a dried fruit. Talking to his owner, I said, why? Why are you doing this special production? Pays extra. He says, because the Bukharian community in 108th Street, they demand it has to be kosher pesach. So if there's a demand, there will be supply. Now with rice, it's a little bit more complicated. There's so much rice in the industry. Maybe our voice is not heard. A very small clientele. I could hear that. But I always think it's worthwhile somehow maybe to go down to the facility once in your life. It's in California, to see the operations, to verify the facts. I think that's the normal thing to do. To assume and make assumptions. One person sent me a picture of the hechsher. There's a hechsher, on these on the Bukharian rice, right? But hechsher's not allowed. Not allowed. Everybody knows. Whatever, San Francisco hechsher. It's not allowed. Everybody knows. Okay. And so he sends me a letter that this rabbi from the hechsher said it's okay. So listen, he said, he didn't say. I don't know. I can't respond. I only rely on specific hechsherim. This is not one of the hechsherim I would follow, so I can't really, comment on it. Okay. On the ingredients, there is no vitamin 1, 2, 3. There's no vitamins in there. There's nothing in there. So it's a good question. Is this a problem or not? Is there chametz? One rabbi, another rabbi from Queens, he should be blessed. What does he do? He tries to prove to me that it's allowed. Because his community wants it, he has to prove to me. How does he prove to me? He calls up the company and he makes a story. He says, hi, I only eat gluten-free. I'm allergic to wheat. If I eat it, I die. Do you have wheat in your product? No, sir, we do not have wheat. And he records whatever, and he sends it to me. See, proof, I said, listen, I don't know what this lady said, who she is. She's a telemarketer. How is she supposed to know? She can tell you whatever she wants. You're going to die, you're going to live. I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea. I really don't know. I believe in facts, not. So, what happened next was I had these Bukharian group that on my group chat, they just wouldn't stop. They're like, no, we're going to find out, we're going to research, we're going to find out if this rice is allowed or not. So they said to me, who do you have to speak to? So I gave them numbers of rabbis and to help them research. We found out that there's a company called Dakota Farms, which is connected to the Kopur Rice Company. See, there's rice plants, right? Imagine you have 10 rice plants, and you have a main distributor who sells all the rice to these plants. So Dakota Farms is one of those, right? And that happens to be that one of those companies is under a hashgacha which is reliable. So he spoke to that hashgacha. That hashgacha, he said, speaking to the mashgichim, whatever, they said it should be, the rose one should be okay. So to them, they said it should be okay. There's no enrichment. What about the yellow one? I'm still stuck with the yellow. Rose is bidiavad, right, for Bukharians. Yellow is the fatfila, right? That's the way it works, right? So, based on the research we had, it seems that the yellow one is also okay. There shouldn't be any difference. It really shouldn't be any difference. They all come from the same distributor. It's just the rice plants, we were concerned that maybe they're processing other products. They're processing barley and other type of items. Yeah.
But again, going back to the enrichment question.
There is no enrichment.
There's no vitamin B1.
But I want to show you something. To me, I think it's phenomenal. It wasn't me that did most of this research. It was people like we have in this room. Because they decided the Bukharian rice, they're not taking it lying down. They're going to make sure that it's okay. They started to harass all the mainstream hechsherim to figure it out. Especially Rabbi Price. You could ask him. Very nervous now about it. He wrote in his paper that you're required to enrich all rice. And one of the enrichments, vitamin B1, which is a shayla of chametz, has to be in it. Now this rice is made in California. These guys found out in California there is no mandate, no such law. And they went back to him arguing with him. Couldn't really answer. It's okay, he wasn't sure, he wasn't sure. Researching it more and more and more, proving the point, and in the end, he agreed. And he did something I never thought in my life I would ever see him do, which was happy. he retracted and revised his. He wrote an article about this topic. It was in honor of the Syrians, of course, but he didn't know about the Bukharians. You get the Syrians, the Bukharians going to come out there. Right? Save the Syrians, right? Party power. Anyway, so they made him revise it, and they said that you should know that certain companies are not all enriched, and you should look into each company. So it actually nullified his whole article. In reality, and he's a very big expert, and he usually doesn't make, he's very, very detailed. I was proud. The Bukharian community was very proud. So the Bukharian rice is not a problem. You can use the rice. I recommend you wash it before using it. By the way, you know how they make, you have rice. It's white, right? They polished it. How do they put the vitamin enrichment on? They put it in a tumbler, and it has powder. And they tumble it, and it goes onto the rice. When you put your Bukharian rice in water, that's just rice starch. So there shouldn't be any stickiness. It's not enrichment going out. Other companies, when you put it in water, you're taking out all the enrichment. It's not really ideal. Okay. So we're good? Bukharian rice is allowed?
So
It's good just for that.
We are allowed to do a spillover and pesach with this rice now?
Only if you do a dasima. If you don't do a dasima, you can't enrich. I'm kidding, but you're allowed to have this rice. Again, I always recommend with hashgacha for rice. It's only 7 days. If you go in people's houses or it's impossible and you live, somebody told me they have a 10-pound bag. They only use the 10 ounces of it, and they're careful from chametz and contact with chametz. Okay, listen, I'm not going to fight with them about it.
Just Wikipedia.
Sure.
One line. Enrichment of white rice with B1, B3, and iron is required by law in the United States.
That's right. But in California,
It doesn't make a difference. In the United
we found that in California.
Marijuana is legal in California.
State by state.
The question is, let's do it, Rabbi Emmanuel, let's do it this way. Let's say this is the law. The question is it mandated in every single state? It seemed to me, the way they presented it is that it's not mandated in California.
How many times do we clean it?
I'm sorry?
How many times do we clean it?
One time is enough. Rabbi has a tshuva in the Biomir. He speaks about rice. If it was enriched and if there's a problem, he says you should wash it several times before you use it. Again, even if it would be, you should know this by the way, even if it's enriched, even if it has this ingredient, it's batal already before Pesach. That's the reality of what it is. It is batal before Pesach. The only issue is choseh v'niur, which, if Svardim hold like that, depends which Svardim you ask. Some Svardim say it does rejuvenate the Yisr when you cook it, recook it. But most Svardim poskim or definitely hold that it's not a problem with choseh v'niur. Okay.
Quick question. Regarding the loose dried fruits, what prunes, walnuts.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
I appreciate the question. 10 minutes in the end.
Okay.
Questions, let me finish up. Go on to question number 6. And these questions are very important. Kedem grape juice, is it a geffen or shako? Is it good for Svardim or not?
Not.
For the 4 cups or
No good?
No good. That's what we need to drink.
So I have to throw my bottles of geffen. Okay, so I'm going to tell you like this. A number of years ago, this question came up. I don't know what the issue was exactly, but for some reason the Sfardim felt that the companies are lying to them. They're not telling them the truth about the amount of sugar, water, and grape juice concentrate that is placed in grape juice. I don't know why they felt this way. I know the Rabbanim in the OU, and they're very honest people, and not hiding anything, and you can call them up, I give you a number. You can speak to Rabbi Rabinowitz from the OU, he's a very nice person, he's a very nice rabbi. Charvadas, Talmud, and they can tell you their operation, they're not hiding anything. But for some reason there was a very big concern. Okay. It got so bad that they decided to ask Rav Moshe Yosef, was sent by Rav Yitzchak Yosef, he was that time the chief rabbi still, a couple years ago, to come down to Kedem to see the whole operation, to see if it's a geffen or not. Okay, he came down. This is public knowledge, by the way, it's not a secret. He came down, And he saw the operation. He said it was according to Maran Shulchan Aruch, and he was very happy with the operation. The Herzog family, by the way, I've met them. They're very nice people. By the way, if you want to go to Kedem to see the operation, doors are open. They have tours. You know, you go down there. I think it's even free. Just got to call it beforehand. It's in upstate. You know, it's nice to see their operation. Anyway, so the reality is with the grape juice, it's more grape juice as a shadow than wine. Grape juice with concentrate, usually what they need to do is they need to neutralize the taste. If you notice that sometimes wines are different tastes every year, it really depends on the harvest and the grape season. You know, sometimes they have to add a little bit of grape juice concentrate to level out the taste. It should always be the same, balanced. You know, recently somebody told me they were drinking a certain grape juice and they felt that this year was a little bit of a different of a taste. Very sensitive, you know, to taste. You know, people like the same taste every year. So the most, from my understanding, you know, there's only a couple of percentage of grape juice concentrate they would use. Grape juice concentrate is powdered form of grape juice. There's a company, don't have the name offhand, Bosky told me a long time ago, that's white grape juice that they transport from California to New York. They make it into a powdered form because it's cheaper for shipping. When it comes here, they reconstitute it by adding water and it becomes grape juice again. There's a whole machloket among the poskim what bracha is. Because it's a powder. Now you put water in it, now you made it in a drink, I mean, you know. And, you know, this is a big machloket. Rebelski held still considered grape juice, and it's hagefen. Rav Shlomo Zalman held no. It's shakol. It's a big dispute among different poskim. You know, but they're using small quantities of this question in regular grape juices to neutralize the taste. And if they're using large quantities, this is where the argument is. To my understanding, because I'm being recorded, I'm saying it this way. To my understanding, regular Kedem grape juice and regular organic, for those old organic people that love organic, grape juice is fine. All the other ones, just these two you should use for that. Okay, I don't know about the other ones. Okay, so the regular one you're good with. The other ones I don't know.
Kedem is fine.
Kedem, regular grape juice, not the light, not the peach, not the white, and all the other. I don't know. But these two, the organic, it's the same thing, it's just organic, and the regular are fine. Okay, for Sfardim. The rest, let's look around with that. I don't know. Okay. Another question. Question number 7. We're going to take questions altogether. Carbon dioxide used in sparkling water and plain seltzer, does it need to be chametz free? Let me rephrase the question. Can you buy seltzer with no ingredients? If it's plain seltzer, can you buy it? Yeah. Guy wants vintage, right? As a bit, it's just a keg. Do you need to have a hefsher on it year round? No. Right? Okay. What about during Pesach? Can you buy regular seltzer? No kosher Pesach? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what the problem is, if there's a problem, and then you decide what you want to do yourself. Does it sound like a good deal? Yeah? This way you don't throw tomatoes on it? Okay. The carbon dioxide in sparkling water, you know, it makes it, bubbly. Okay. And also in seltzer, yeah, it can be made from chametz. They take the carbon dioxide from beer, from whiskey, from all these, and they combine it, the gas, and they inject it into water. And that's how you have your sparkling water and your seltzer. The question is, does it have to be kosher Pesach? Obviously, it's not kosher Pesach, right? The gas, but does it have to be? And this is a machloket. Shlomo Zalman held that it's acceptable, it doesn't need to be. For various reasons, he says it's okay. It's a big machloket. By the way, this is not a new machloket. It's not a new argument. This has been going on. They've been talking about this for hundreds of years. All the Achronim that spoke about this topic. Rebelsky, the OU, they're lenient, they hold, it's not a problem. Okay. Ahmad Avad, Rav Amram Edry, who was a big posek in Kashrut, with many Sfarim, he's a prime disciple of Mordechai Yaakov. He speaks about this topic in his Sefer, Ahmad Avad Chelik Bet, and over there he writes he speaks about what it is and how it works, and he writes over there clearly that it's a problem. And he says people should try to stay away from drinking things that might have chametz. And he quotes from Rabbi Gedayev's pesach. So the Rabbi Gedayev, he asked him, and Rabbi Gedayev said that you shouldn't use carbon dioxide. Now, am I telling you to follow Rabbi Gedayev? I'm not saying that. I just want you to be aware that when you go, this is where the mind has to work. When you go to read an OU Pesach guide, and you read a Star K Pesach guide, and you read all different types of Pesach guides, you can get different answers. Sometimes they'll write plain seltzer needs hashgacha for some nefsherim. Some nefsherim say no, it doesn't need hashgacha. This is where the dispute is. I want you to be aware of that. What about frozen bagged vegetables? Does it need a hashgacha? Frozen vegetables need hashgacha? What do you guys think?
The bugs.
What?
The bugs.
So I'll tell you what the problem is. Number one is that a lot of times these lines, they make pasta on the same lines. So machinery is a problem. Also they have anti-foaming agents, which need to be under hashgacha as well for Pesach. But frozen fruit that's cut up, frozen fruit in the bags, or whole frozen fruits, those are not a problem. Those don't need to be kosher for Pesach unless it has added ingredients, syrups and stuff like that. Then it would be a question of needing to be kosher for Pesach. Really quickly, I want to speak about romaine lettuce. Everybody buys romaine lettuce for Pesach, right? I went to a Kohl store, a long time ago, and I see a guy, a Bukharian guy, from shul, and he's in awe. Why? Usually when you go to the store and you want to buy romaine that's checked, if you're buying that, pre-checked romaine, right, under hashgacha, you see 1 or 2 companies, right? 3 companies. Pesach, you have 30 companies, literally. Companies you never heard of in your life, you know for a lot of them from Israel, you don't know, So right away, what do we think? Right away, wow, which one should I choose, right? And you say, how do I decide, right? And right away, what's the answer? What's the final decision? Which one is? Cheaper, right? I see one for $10 and one for $2. I don't think there's even a question, right? I want to tell you how things work very quickly. There's 2 types of operations. There's greenhouse and there's regular fresh. Let's start with regular fresh. Okay? Companies like Dole, Fresh Express, and the cheaper companies, right? Andy Boy does not have hashgacha. That's not. What? Only with hashgacha. I'm talking about hashgacha. I'm talking about people that the wives are very Americanized and they say, I don't want to clean vegetables. I want it already hand-delivered, ready for, to be eaten.
For consumption.
And I'm going to speak about these Israelis, how they do it over there and in America. So regular fresh, there's 3 things that go on. Number 1, they go to let's say the Dole services 5 million people. Did you know that? What are we on time? What time is it? 9:50.
9:50. We have time.
Okay. Dole services 5 million people. How many Jewish people do you think they serve? Very little. 100,000? I don't know. Not so many. Do they really care about us? I don't know. Are they willing to make a special run for us? To each their own. So what they allow mainstream actually come in. If you see a hashgacha on the bag, they come in, they go into the fields and they see which field is most infested and which one is most clean. They try to pick out the cleanest field. You'll have miles and acres and miles and miles. They'll pick a small portion and transport it to their company. In their company, that's stage 1. They try to pick the most cleanest product. The second thing they do is they have these big, large washing machines. You have small washing machines at home, right? They have big ones, right? And they clean it in their machines and they do triple washing. Triple washing is pretty simple, by the way. You have like a conveyor belt. They do this also for melicha when they kasher meat, but you have a conveyor belt and you have 3 water barrels, so to speak, right? And the conveyor belt goes into the water, dunks in, goes back up, dunks in, goes back up, dunks in, goes back. That's called triple wash. Does it help with bugs? Not so much. It has some sprinkling, some spraying of water coming down on each leaf as well. Okay, helps, but it's not a perfect system. And if they had a perfect system for cleaning bugs and all bugs are gone, we would all be out of business over rabbis. Because we wish, but there's no such thing. Nothing's perfect. You still have to check the product. Anyway, so after they clean this basic wash, then they do something called spot checks. This is for regular fresh. They check some samples because They're not going to sit there checking millions of thousands of pounds. You don't have time. When they need production. I remember my first time when I've worked part-time in a company called Positive. Anybody heard of Positive? No? Positive Produce. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so I was working there, and my first day, oh my goodness, my first day was 15-hour shift. So like 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, I think, and we left at 7 o'clock at night. I checked. I don't remember. I was spinning, from how much I was checking, But it's arduous work. It's a lot to check, We checked I remember I checked 80, 90 mesh, and each mesh cloth, you're checking about a bin, which is 3 by 3 feet in size. Okay, tumbling bins. It's a lot, So you can imagine in a facility where they need to check the large values, they're not going to always check large values. They'll check maybe spot checking here and there a little bit, and if they see there's no infestation, so they'll rely on the actual cleaning and going on site into the fields. Is that sufficient? Probably not. It really depends on the company. It depends on a lot of things. To my knowledge, we've had in past years, I'm sure you know, that some of these companies, we checked them, we found infestation. We complained, they fixed the problem, 2 months later it's back on the shelf, found infestation again, we complained, and then they fixed the problem again. And this is going on for years and years and years until they finally said, stop calling. Or here's a free coupon for the next batch. Hopefully that'll come out. But this is not the way, So now they decided that they want to do something else. How about we try greenhouse? So now it became very popular now. Everybody wants greenhouse, greenhouse, greenhouse. So maybe you always see on these bags, greenhouse grown, right? Okay. Wonderful, greenhouse grown. Now I want to tell you something. Greenhouse grown is not insect free. Greenhouses also have bugs. Maybe not as much as regular fresh, but it also has bugs. But with the triple washing and all that, it diminishes it much more than regular fresh. Greenhouse, you're dealing with 40, 60% infestation. With all the cleaning and everything goes to 10 to 20%. And then, you check it, and usually it has to be less than, 10% obviously, to allow the product. This is what they're hoping for. But when you're standing in the store, so that's the price difference. Greenhouse is much more expensive. It's 2-3 times more expensive. The mishgichim in a greenhouse are checking much more amounts. Depending on the company, but most of them are checking much more amounts. In Israel, it's very interesting. These Israeli companies you see? Israeli companies, they write, I don't really understand it, but they write on it, you have to separate each leaf, you have to put it in soap water for 5 minutes, you wash each side, and then you could use it. Wonderful. I could do that for regular fresh. Right? What do I need? I have to pay money to tell me how to read directions? The truth of the matter is that certain bugs that they have in there are supposed to come off with basic cleaning. Israelis love to clean produce. Did you know that? They don't like that you check their produce for them. They want to have the luxury of cleaning it themselves at home. Americans are the opposite. I want everything ready. Okay? I don't want you to do half the job and then you have to do the rest. I want it ready for you. Right? So that's really the big difference, with those companies. So if you see on the company it says all these steps, you have to follow those steps. They could still have bugs in there. They do have. I've seen them. They do have bugs. They're not denying it. So that's what you're paying for. My personal recommendation is it's very important for me that the mashgiach who's checking the produce in the company, I know him personally. I know who he trained by. I know that he knows how to check. For a company like Positive Produce, I know the mashgiachim are. I know them. And I trust them. So I tell people they should use a company like Positive Produce or Kosher Gardens, same company. Or there are some fresh companies. There's a company called Fresh Check in Brooklyn. People, I tell people it's okay. It's in Borough Park. There's some company, some supermarkets in Queens that I know the mashgiachim. They're very good. Seasons in Queens. Pomegranate, the mashgiach there is very good. You can buy his stuff. I know it's an arm and a leg of price. So again, it's to each their own. Each place. But buying the cheaper companies, there's a risk factor. There might still be bugs in there. be very straight with you. You know, nobody could guarantee that it's insect free. Even in the good companies, you can't guarantee. You want my personal view? I think the best thing to do is learn how to check at home and do it yourself at home. It's cheaper, fresher, tastes better definitely, because I personally cannot eat these pre-check companies. I feel like I'm eating starving. You know, I think that's how we did it 50 years ago at home, right? We didn't, Okay. Last, we mentioned again dried fruits, just real quick. So sometimes they're oil treated with kitniot, sometimes with oats, therefore it needs to be kosher to Pesach. And we mentioned in the Likutei Dinim, I would get to end off with the Bukhari and Shulchan Aruch. He writes that raisins, dried fruits in general, in Russia, they were very problematic with regards to Pesach, and you have to be careful and make sure it has kosher Pesach or something at least. Certain items are okay, but a lot of them need to be kosher Pesach. You need to ask. Don't decide on your own. I know Costco is your favorite store in the world, because it's bulk and it's cheap, but you should try to get with hashgacha. It's very important. Okay. So now we'll just do a question and answer. Okay, for 10 minutes. Yeah.
Going back to dried fruits, so I understand like raisins and prunes. What about like walnuts, almonds, cashews?
Right. So a lot of these items,
like those like loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loose, I don't know about, but the ones that are packaged, you could read the ingredient panel to know where it came from. And
No, but
it has
specifically the
ingredients.
loose ones from like the same place, like Uzbekistan or wherever it is that they want, like import them from. Pakistan, I don't know where they come in from.
Well, nuts,
Nuts, right?
dry roasted and oil roasted need hashgacha year round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you're going to divert that issue. Nuts that are in a bag, which people buy at Costco, you can see it's raw. If it's raw, then you could work with regards to if it needs to be hashgacha or not.
So even with the raw, you still have to check the package.
So it depends on what it is. If it's raw and there's no questionable ingredients, it should be okay in most nuts, not all nuts. Pecans are more
Yeah, right.
issue.
Loose walnuts, for example.
Again, the word loose is problematic because it's like this. Rabbi, I buy meat that has hashgacha. It's sealed and it has hashgacha. Nam Costco. Rabbi, I saw loose meat. It's opened. Is it a problem? I mean, I don't know where it's from. I don't know anything about it. How am I supposed to really give you an answer? I mean, I need to know.
Walnuts have a shell, right?
Oh, those type.
Yeah.
So if you know that they're raw, then they should be fine. I don't think those are usually roasted or anything.
No, they're not.
They're plain. Yeah, those are usually okay. I'm talking about the ones that are, not in the shell. Okay? Yeah.
What about these cookies? Pesach.
Next question. I answered it? Yeah.
Is that kosher? The thick ones.
It's a good question. I noticed that in the past few years, the Bukharians are starting to make soft matzah, it's called. According to Marash Shulchan Aruch, the way the Sephardi poskim learn it should be fine. It should be fine. Do we have a more Masara in using it? I don't know. Rebelsky told me in the 1970s, or Rabbi Abdurrahmanov, the rabbi of Tashkent, not Tashkent, of Dushanbe, told him to come to, I don't know if you're aware of it. He came down, you know the story, right? He came down to some God, he saw these different places, and when he went to Dushanbe, and he saw his friend, he asked him to check the mikvahs, check the batzah bakeries, and check the shkita houses. With the shkita, he said it was the best shkita he's ever seen in his life. He actually praises the Bukharians and their shkita in that area whenever he gives a shir in your day, he used to give in yeshiva. It's very interesting to hear the Bukharians are the best shkita in Bukhara.
We're in Dushanbe, you said, right?
I don't know what happened when they came to America, but that's a separate issue. Yeah, what?
In Dushanbe, in the city of Dushanbe.
I'm sorry?
In the city of Dushanbe, the rabbi went.
Rabbi Abdurrahmanov.
Right.
You ask your parents or your grandparents, and they know. He was best friends with Rebelsky. So Rebelsky asked him to check his places in Dushanbe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the other cities,
Right.
in Dushanbe. And he said, one of the things I wanted to mention here is that Rebelsky told me that the matzah was soft. I mean, it wasn't soft. It wasn't soft. It was hard and it was thin. It was hard and thin.
That's how we make.
I don't know if it was like Haredi. Haredi is like a special, but it was thin. It was not, it was not soft matzah. So some want to say, okay, you need to have a Masorah. Yemenites ate it. We're not Yemenite. Like the grasshopper. You guys eat grasshoppers? you're missing out. No, but seriously speaking, if you don't have Masorah, so, I don't know, But a lot of Sephardi Paiskim, I was told that Ravadi ate it. I spoke to Talmidim. Ravadi ate it, Rav Ben Zion ate it, Rav Mochayahu ate it, Rav Yaakov Hillel. I mean, again, they're not doing commercial production. They're doing it private, and they're doing their own runs. That's already more of a question. Can I eat soft matzah from a commercial production versus chabura matzah? That's a separate question. But if you're asking a soft matzah in general, it seems apparent from the Sephardi Paiskim that it is acceptable to use, even for very old Sephardi. Some want to say even Ashkenazim know it was okay. There are those, But I'll tell you, there was a Syrian matzah chabura. I think there's only one. I'm not saying too much information. But anyways, they wanted to get an OU. I happened to have been in the OU that day, Podolsky, and they said, no, we don't certify such items. We don't know how to certify soft matzah. They presented this soft matzah to Rav David Feinstein. I saw, a video of it, whatever. Somebody sent it to me, and he said, yeah, that's what the Sparta made. Yeah, in Economy, he says it was pretty. It wasn't that thick, I know it looks like lafas. He said you couldn't go out to tefach like Maran Shulchan Aruch writes. He says, but he asked, can Ashkenazim eat it out of the Seder? He says, well, we're not experts in this type of matzah baking, so to each their own. To each their own with regards to that. I think it's acceptable, and so they have in 108th Street, they make a matzah run Erev Pesach. You want to know how much it is a pound? After I tell you the price, you'll say I don't want to eat so much.
$500.
No, not that. It's expensive. It's like $75 a pound. Erev Pesach. But people only buy maybe three matzahs a day. Big school, Erev Pesach. I don't know. I don't eat that.
You're getting
that
as big the day before.
My friend actually sells soft matzah. He's been to the operations. It's under Rav Machli Yisrael. He's been there many times. It's a very good operation.
What about egg matzah?
All comes out the
Egg
same.
matzah shira is fine for Spartans.
All comes out the end.
Anything else? Anybody else? Really? Pesach, you guys are so ready? You have no other questions? No?
It's easy these days.
I don't think so, but okay.
So,
Yeah, your wife does everything.
The water is to put the filter, change the filter.
You don't have to change the filter unless it's dirty from chametz. You're talking about the big filters, or are you talking about the easy filter? No, that you should change. You're cleaning the sink, might as well change that also. Once a month is it's recommended.
The granite countertops, do you have to cover them with
Kasher or boiling water.
that's it.
Just pour boiling water on it, or should?
What?
Just take boiling water.
Yeah, but when you do it, don't just drips. That doesn't. We're doing it. It has to be one continuous flow. All over.
If it's wood, Formica, not the.
For Mike also, you could kasher.
Oh, really?
What about the oven?
Boiling water.
With a torch.
Regular oven. There's a lot of debate if you could kasher a regular oven. If you clean it with strong Israeli shumit, whatever detergent, easy off, whatever you want.
Shmoni.
Yeah. Or easy off, whatever it is. You clean it really, really well. Take out the racks. Regarding the racks, suggestion, you should change it. And it's not expensive. You could buy new racks in any hardware store. That's my recommendation.
That's if you have enough stuff clean.
Some people, it's not for self-clean. We're talking about regular, non-self-clean. I recommend changing it. The reason why is because a lot of times people use those racks, they put bread on it directly. The regular oven, non-self-clean, it needs libun gomer. It needs to blowtorch, But again, you can't really do that. You're not going to start blowtorching your oven unless you lost your mind. But once I can finish. But again, if you just clean it out with this very strong detergent and you don't use it for 24 hours, and then you put it on the highest temperature, which probably is not more than 550, most ovens, and for 72 minutes, it takes about several minutes for it to go to the highest temperature when you turn it on. It really is 1 hour, but this is the minimum requirement. Some people do 3-4 hours. But Minimum requirement is 72 minutes because you need the oven to reach its highest temperature. And then you have 1 hour of heat of kashering. With all that, the reason why we're more lenient is really simple, is because it's really zeta. It's not direct contact with bread. You're not putting bread on the walls of all the walls. Yeah, you can touch the sides. I can't argue with that. But usually you're putting all these items in a tray. It's not, the racks, direct bread is going on it. Now, you come to me and argue with me, what do you mean? Rav Tashmishud, majority of the time we're using the racks for non-bread. So we go according to majority. It's true, I can't argue with that. Again, there are poskim that are Sephardi, and see others say that, if it was used one time, even for bread, you should kasher it according to its most extreme standards, which is, Liban Gum. It's recommended. I don't know how well the racks get, kashered, and if you're putting it in directly the way it sits, right, the walls, the sides, with 550 degrees, I don't know how well it's being done on the sides, getting heated. I don't know. I'm not sure. You would have to maybe line it, lay it out, or do hagalah, according to Chacham Ovadia, the way his Talmidim explain it. It's considered acceptable. And then foil around it, for use. I think it's easier just to use new racks. That's my personal recommendation. If somebody says something differently, more lenient, it's okay. I'm not going to blame for it.
You put on 550?
Self-clean is different. Self-clean, the temperature goes above 850 degrees. In order to have Libun Gomer, according to the number of poskim, first of all, self-clean is really the dispute if it's considered blowtorching. It's not directly burning the walls, but the temperature, they claim, based on the material of the walls of the oven, is hot enough to destroy anything on the oven walls, based on temperature. It doesn't have to be direct heat to the degree where it's going to cause it to become red hot, as it says in the Shulchan Aruch. It really goes on if anything's left. So there's an OU document where Belsky explains that based on the material and the way self-clean works, that it is considered Libun Gomer. And I've heard from Rabbi Gedayev there's something very similar. Bukhari and Chief Rabbi, people like me to say that. It's acceptable. I don't see a problem with using self-clean. You don't have to. You also don't have to wait 24 hours. You don't have to clean it beforehand. If you're using self-clean, when it comes to Libun Gomer, you don't have to do any of that. Okay, because it burns everything out. You do have to clean it after you kashered it, through Libun Gomer. Okay, yeah.
How long is it self-clean?
It's automatic.
Minimum 72 minutes, but cycle is about 4 hours.
Yeah, it has a cycle. Just let it
Can you
run.
put
You know how we are. We're very stringent.
Can you put all the other stuff that you want to kasher in?
You can put anything in there as long as it doesn't warp, meaning it doesn't get ruined. You can put anything you want. You know what I mean? You can put the grates in there. Some grates have rubber on the bottom. If you ruin it, you might have to buy specific ones for Pesach. If you can't kasher it through a gullah, some say you could actually kasher grates through a gullah. And cover it, whatever. You ask me about that. That's what you want to do.
So,
Yeah.
regarding the dishes, let's say the glass or kiddush cup, let's say, can I use it for the chametz thing to the
It's
pesach?
glass, yeah.
Your kiddush cup is made out of what?
Silver.
No,
Silver. So you could kasher it doing hagala. If you that's the best method. Just in case. I don't know what you're using there. Just strong whiskeys and stuff and leave them there.
No, not if it was all Canada.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I think it's recommended for Pesach just to kasher hagala. It's very simple. Practice. Clean it well. Don't use 24 hours. Put it in hot boiling water. You're good to go. Anyways, you're kashering your sink, right? Just dump that in as well. You know what I'm saying? And regarding glass, according to Sephardim, not all Sephardim, but most Sephardim, our community decided recently they follow Chacham Ovadia Yosef, and that's the rabbi they follow. They don't follow Rabbi Tzion, Ben Shai, and all the others. Really, they follow mainly Rabbi Yosef. That's the impression I got. According to Ravadia, you just clean it with strong detergent really well. Make sure there's no nothing on no bits, no pieces on the actual glass, and then you can use it as is.
And crystal and glass is the same thing.
You know, the Russians love to use
Crystal.
glass,
Crystals and glass is the
plates,
same.
everything glass. This way they can use it for milk and meat all day, every day. Because back in the old country of Russia, they eat milk and meat. You know, and it was very hard to differentiate sometimes. So they got used to people make mistakes at home. You know, you do with parents and religion. So they would just have glass everything. This way, if there's a mistake, they could still they don't have a problem with throwing out plates and koshering. What were we saying?
Crystal.
Crystal same thing. It's a form of glass. Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
Is that
Rabbi.
Rabbi.